Psalm 115 says, "Not to us, O Lord, not to us, but to your name for the glory because of your love and faithfulness." This is a verse that God gave us when we started speaking about the Mali Project. And it's been God's love and faithfulness that has carried us through these 20 years. And why do we do this? So that others may know to the ends of the earth. So let's go back, for some of you that haven't been here that long, go back about 20 years ago. Dave Thompson from the Bangalo Hospital in Gabon was back in the States for arrest, and he was at a meeting, a luncheon meeting with some gentlemen, and they asked him, "Dave, after you've been in Bangalo all these years, if you could do anything you wanted, what would you do?" And he said, "I do the same thing I've done all these years, but I do it somewhere else with a greater need." That was just a small conversation, but God heard it. So let's go to Mali, West Africa. There were 3 missionary nurses that had been there 20 plus years, living out in the villages around Kuchala, that were trying to help these ladies deliver children. Before they went, they were delivering their babies in the fields and putting them on their back and going right back to work. So many of them, 20% of the women in Mali died in childbirth just because they needed an OBGYN there to assist them to do a simple C-section. So they were losing women constantly that just broke their hearts. But one really special woman to them went into labor, needed a C-section, she ended up dying. And they started to plead with God to just give them a little block building where they could have a doctor that would do C-sections. As only God can, he put those 2 dreams together. It became a dream that was voiced around. Different people heard it and dreamed with them. A year or so later, there was a meeting where they had organized it to the point that they could establish it as a dream for the CMA. There was a meeting, and there were missionaries there from Mali and from around the world. There were financial men there. There were construction. There were contractors. There were engineers. Lots of people, and 2 people from our church were invited to this meeting where the dream was presented. And the last thing they said was, "God has you, each one of you, here for a reason. I want you to go home. I want you to pray and see where you can plug into this dream." So it wasn't long after that, the dream grew. And they had a doctor that committed his life and his family to go to Kuchala, help build this hospital, help get it on its feet, train the Malians to take it over eventually. So there was a meeting in Grace at Middleburg Heights. 3 of our Alliance women went to that meeting. Introduced Dr. Dan Nesselrode, again, established this dream, like put the stake in the ground and said, "This is a dream, can we do it?" They had a brochure that we all flipped through, and we were a small church. We had maybe 25 on Sunday. We had no pastor, 4 women in our Alliance women. So we looked through the brochure, and we looked for the least expensive thing. It was a water tower for $3,500. And on the way home, we talked about it, and okay, what can we do? So we came up with, without taking out of our egg money, our tithes, offerings, anything like that, but we were gonna look for ways that God specifically gave us money towards this water tower. We said $1,000, but then the more we headed home, we had just finished experiencing God, the Bible study, and in that it says, join God in his work, but look for things above what you can do. So he kind of convicted us, and we said, okay, we're gonna shoot for the $3,500. And every woman involved can give testimony to how God provided money above and beyond to go to this water tower. Not only did we raise the $3,500, but we raised over $5,000. And we were so excited. We went to an area Alliance Women's meeting in Akron, and we took our little booth with our water tower and the overflowing, and a couple of missionaries there saw the missionaries that were going to Kuchala, saw how excited they were, or we were, And they said, one of them come up to us and said, hey, we see how excited you guys are. We have a situation where we need to be able to send, women can send hats, booties, onesies, blankets. Can we send them to Shelby? And then you guys package them up and send them over to Coachella? And we're like, no brainer, we can do that. Well, if some of you have been here, you saw those packages of onesies, hats, booties go till our fellowship was full, wall to wall, floor to ceiling. They had decided that we were going to be the sending church for everything needed to equip that hospital. You can walk through that hospital and you can go into the restrooms. Every toilet, every sink, everything in that restroom cabinets came through Shelby. Operating rooms, lights, OR tables, cabinets. We sent everything that they needed, that they could not get there, electrical, plumbing, through this church, through everybody's commitment to help pack the sea containers, collect. God used us mightily in this. I could talk for hours of all the God stories of how he just blew us away with how something would come in here and we'd say, don't know what it is, but don't know it's going to Mali, and they get over there and that's just exactly what they needed. So we've sent all those containers. In the last couple of months, maybe 6 weeks, we sent container 38 and 39, 40-foot containers loaded for everything that they needed. God has blessed us by doing this and encouraging and increasing our faith through this. He's also blessed the Malians and all the patients that come in there. It's been our privilege to do that. Well, the situation in Mali has become so unsafe because of the Taliban. They're like 5-6 miles right outside of Coachella. So our missionaries were pulled out in May. All the missionaries that have been there, all the ones that had helped train all the Malians. But God gave us sufficient time to get the Malians trained, that we have doctors, OBGYN, surgeons, midwives, nurses, all fully trained, and they have taken over the hospital and run it very well and continue to run it. Right now we have 190 West African employees there. There are 50 pediatric beds, there's 20 neonatal ICUs, there's 120 adult beds, so it's full. The dream, when those missionary nurses started praying for just a little block building, to have a doctor there that could give cesarean sections, C-sections in emergency, God gave us above and beyond anything that we could imagine. And I'm sure next week Jessica will show you pictures of the hospital. But we are still attached to Mali. We are still going to support them. We might not be sending the 40th container because there's nobody there to facilitate it right now. But we are going to continue to support the hospital. We're still going to collect and make mama packs with the blanket, the onesie, the hat, and the booties, because the hospital is known for this. Women come in over there without anything to clothe their babies in, and if you don't wrap a baby up and keep it warm, it goes into distress. So that's how this evolved. But now the hospital is known. Those women know, and their husbands will testify. Our wives, when they go to your hospital, they come home, they don't die there. Our wives are loved there, not beaten and yelled at. Our wives get new clothes for the babies, and we get a birth certificate that the other hospitals make us go downtown and pay for. So those mama packs have a huge impact. And while the patients are there recovering, they hear the Jesus story over and over. All the Malians are Christians, or all the hospital employees are Christians. They share the love of Christ through actions and through words. There are TVs in all the different waiting areas where they see the Jesus film, they see other films like VeggieTales, that the place is packed. Some people even come in just to watch the shows and don't have any reason to be at the hospital. So yeah, it's been a huge blessing. A blessing on this side to us and a blessing on that side to all the people that hear the Jesus film and hear the word of Christ. There's 6,000 been hospitalized up through August this year. That's not counting everybody that comes through the door and goes right away. There's 250 deliveries a month. So that's why they need the mama packs. In that last container, we figured we had almost 8,000 mama packs, which will hold them for a while. So as we continue to collect items for the mama packs and different medical equipment that comes in when they've requested it, we might not send it out of here in a ship's container, but Christ Community in Omaha is going to continue to send 1 container a year. So when they're ready, we'll load everything up and get it out to Christ Community, and we'll still be sending it to the hospital. So because of the security risk, though, our missionaries were all evacuated, and I'm sure Jessica will tell you about that. They were evacuated in May, but the staff is continuing on. So now our missionaries are looking for other places that God's going to send them, and we need to pray for that. And as Pastor James has said, how do we support these people? How do we support anybody the best? It's praying for them. So I just ask you, with the security problems there, we have friends and family in Mali that we've grown very close to, and it's well known throughout Kuchala of 150,000 people where all the Christians live, and that's where the Taliban will go in and wipe everybody out, is through their Christian faith. So we pray for them, and we ask you to pray for them. They've had 160 people give their lives to Christ openly this year, but we can't tell. God looks at their heart. We can't tell how many the total is. A number of years ago, I questioned, why are we having so few compared to Bangalo, who has 1,000 a year? And one missionary he grew up in Timbuktu and gone back as a missionary to Timbuktu, he looked at me and shook his finger at me. He says, little girl, God judges the heart. And those women can hear the Jesus story. They can accept Christ, but they have to keep it quiet because they can be killed. So we never know, but God knows. And every single one of those conversions, in some way or another, we've had an impact. We've had a little part in it. So I just ask you to continue to bring in the stuff for the mama pack so we can continue to support these people, pray for them. So it's not to us, O Lord, not to us, but to you for the glory, because of your love and faithfulness. Why do we do this? So others may hear.